Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? You ever feel like something is not quite right? Something's wrong, but you can't really name it. It's not really depression or despair, but just something's not quite right. Now, if you're looking for an easy answer or a quick fix or a five-step plan to transform your life, this is the wrong video. Eject now. No harm, no foul. But if you're a critical thinker, if you're not afraid of looking at your life and seeing what's going on, well, then stick around. I've noticed that a lot of people are kind of sleepwalking through life. They're on autopilot. They're not exactly zombies, but they're just going through all the motions without ever really asking why. And I've also noticed that most people don't seem happy. They're not exactly miserable, but they're not exactly happy either. They're not fulfilled and they're not super excited about where their life is. They do all the right things. They go to work, they chase what's expected, they do all the things that are expected, they buy what's expected of them to buy. They check all the boxes, but something just isn't working for them. There's a YouTuber named Timothy Ward, and I have to credit him with this because he talks about this idea that we're born here and all of a sudden we have to pay to stay. We have to pay to stay alive. And who are we actually paying? We're paying a very small group of people that own everything. Now, we can't just walk off, find some piece of land, build a house on it, grow our own food, hunt our own food, all this kind of stuff, work to stay alive because everything is owned by somebody else. So we arrive here and instantly we owe these people that own everything. It's not working to survive, it's working to pay them. Now, when you're a kid, before the weight of all this obligation falls upon you later on, you discover the things that really excite you. We naturally gravitate towards things that do it for us, and it's different for everybody. But we have passions, we have interests, we have things that are like really, really exciting to us. But at some point, we start to put those to the side in favor of being a responsible adult. I'll just get back to those passions later on. Right now, I have to go to college. Right now, I have to have this job. Right now, I have to raise the kids. In a very real sense, we kind of become Mr. Banks from the Mary Poppins movie, if you're old enough to remember that. And at the end of the movie, he actually gets that excitement and childlike nature back again, which is really what we're supposed to be doing here. That's what the point of this video is, I think. But anyhow, back to being an adult. We start to believe that this exhaustion and working ourselves to death is a virtue. In fact, it's held up by society that hard work, it doesn't matter what it's for or who it's for, is it's a moral thing. And if you don't do that, well, you're lazy, you're somehow defective. And what happens is we start spending a significant portion of our time and our life working at something that we might not even like, and we leave work drained. And so the time that we have after that, well, we've got all these other obligations to take care of, and then we got this little bit of time left to us, and in a lot of cases, we're just exhausted. And what's worse, to numb ourselves out, we go ahead and we buy a bunch of stuff. You click on Amazon or whatever, and you buy all these things, and you consume stuff, and who are you buying it from? Now, a lot of people just stay asleep. They stay stuck. They never really figure out what's going on. They just know it's uncomfortable. But some of us start to wake up. And hopefully, if you're watching this video, you're one of those people that has started to wake up. And you start to, peel back the curtain and look and see the matrix for what it is, to use a tired analogy. And you see the system that's set up, and it's partly emergent and partly intentional, where a lot of us are just going through our lives sort of numb, working for an elite. A small group of people that own everything, and they really don't care if we spend our lives miserable as long as we keep doing the work for them and buying their stuff. And at this point, there's a variety of emotional reactions you end up having. There's that, that shame, like, I can't believe I didn't see this. Sometimes you're just numbed out, it's like a shock to your system. And that's usually followed by rage and righteous anger. I can't believe this is going on. And I think that's a necessary step, but you don't want to stay stuck there. You don't want to stay, rageful and bitter, because then, that feels very empowering. I'm so angry, I'm so righteous, but it doesn't really get anything done. Hopefully, you move past there, because then you can start to think critically and figure out, well, what's going on and what can I do about it? Once you start searching for answers, you want a way to not have to do all these things that you don't want to do. You want to buck the system. There is no shortage of people out there that are going to tell you what to do. And a lot of times they're trying to sell it to you. It's a huge industry. There's the mindset crowd and the financial freedom gurus and the hustle crowd and the people that can tell you how to make $10,000 a month doing this or that or the other thing. It never ends. They all know that you're in pain, that you want something. And a lot of them are really good salespeople and really good marketers and are able to capitalize on that. But before you become super cynical, and believe me, I'm a cynic, Understand that there's a lot of well-meaning people out there and that not all the information you're going to hear is wrong. But you need to use some kind of discernment. You need to be able to pick through all this and figure out, okay, what's valuable and what isn't valuable. Who's just trying to sell me an overpriced program that may or may not work? It's not one size fits all. One of the things I've noticed is if you have a different temperament, if you don't have that constant hustle mindset, if you have kind of like a gentler temperament or spirit, if you are a person that's a little bit more afraid of risk or afraid of what people will think of you, if you carry trauma, if you just have a harder time, following this hustle program, well, then you're going to start to feel like you're broken, like something's wrong with you. And the truth is, no, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you the way you are. You just don't fit their particular mold. You don't have to become a machine or an asshole in order to reclaim your life. So what the hell do you do? And believe me, I'm not going to give you a 5-step plan. But what I found helps the most as a starting point is just sitting down, get quiet, and figure out, what do I really want? Not what's realistic, but what's the kind of life I want? What are the things I like to do? Remember those things when you were a kid? What would I like my life to really look like? What do I not want in my life? What would make you feel like you, like really alive, like really authentic? And then after you do that, start looking at how you spend your time. What are the things you do every day? And don't beat yourself up, but just look at what it is. Start to question, why am I doing those things? Why am I chasing these things? Do I really even want them? Or am I doing this because that's what I'm supposed to do? How much time am I spending doing things for other people that I'm not really getting any reciprocity for, that's draining me? How much time am I spending in a job that I really hate? How much time and energy are you spending maintaining things that you don't really want and don't really use? Compare that to your list about what you want to be doing, and it's probably going to be really, really different. And this is one of those things where we stop sleepwalking and just wake up and start to look at, okay, where am I? Where would I like to be? I can't tell you the 5-step plan to get you from A to B because everybody has a different path. Everybody's situation is different. What works for me might not work for you. What works for the hustler on YouTube, doesn't work for me. And I've got news for you. It's going to be uncomfortable. Waking up, seeing the reality of your situation, where you'd actually like to be, the obstacles ahead of you, the way the system is rigged, none of that is actually fun. But I think it's a little liberating. At least you've taken the scales off your eyes. You've woken up. Don't go back to sleep. And you'll be tempted to sometimes. I can't tell you your exact path, like how are you going to go from A to B. And I would be disingenuous. And I believe a lot of the people that are trying to sell you something for thousands of dollars are being a little disingenuous too, because there's a different path for everybody. But being willing to try, I think, is ridiculously important. I know it's scary, but none of us are not worth making a change for our lives, whether it's, better relationship, getting out of a bad one, different career path, doing something that, you don't hate. If you're stuck in addiction, get the hell out of that because it will kill you. Whatever changes you need to make, it is worth it to try to do that because you're worth it. I would love to hear your comments on this, what your experiences have been, if you're right in the middle of it, if you woke up a long time ago, if you're just waking up now, if you're not sure what the hell I'm talking about, or you think I'm completely wrong. I would love to hear it all. And of course, to support the channel, there are super thanks somewhere around there where you can throw me a buck or two, like the video if you like it, and you subscribe to the channel if you think like content like this is something that you'd want to watch. And also content about bass guitars and role-playing games. Sometimes that'll happen. Take it easy, kids. Thanks for watching.